Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a Silver Anna. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like, subscribe, even
Attackers
consider
incoming
sharing.
in
That really
30
does help me
seconds.
quite a bit. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, events there are going on, all that good stuff.
Greetings. Attack the objective.
Okay, we're probably going to be
5,
late out the door if
4,
this is where we're going.
3,
There we go.
2, 1. Attackers incoming. Please defend objective
The Reaper? Okay. Who's your support partner? Bap. Bap can get you.
Take your assistant.
Way hidden this. Okay. So, I mean, you're throwing a nade that your team just has no chance of following up on. You're down 2 people right now, if memory serves. Yeah, you're down 2 people right now. This nade, even if you hit it, just isn't going to have any follow-up, so I don't really like it. So let's go back here and sort of replot this initial opening, because this could have done better. This needs to be happier than me watching GME stocks go down. Okay, I think we can achieve that. I mean, I might suffer, but you'll be happy because you'll get to watch me suffer watching play that is, yeah. But hey, we'll get there. So, we're gonna go back here, and this is fine so far. You saw your Reapers teleporting over there, no problem. You could have potentially looked for, hey, can I line up the shot, but you probably couldn't get it behind that. I don't like that you've angled this hard over here, though. Like, why would you be this deep over here? Look at how far you are from the team that you might want to heal. Like, if you're behind this corner, you're just as safe as if you're all the way back here from this sight line. But it gives you the option to much more quickly change your mind to heal this sight line. The only remote danger you have by being here is if Junkrat hits really weird grenade ricochets to get you and maybe get you here that wouldn't get you back here. That's a pretty minor upgrade. And yes, you're missing, looks like 60 health here, but that's pretty minor, and you're dragging it so that it's so long before you're able to heal the people that are in this sight line. So unless your plan was, no, I'm hard hoofing it over here to heal from this angle, which you don't need to do, this was just too big a swing. Like, I think you were doing it because you wanted the Reaper, but it doesn't really change your angle for healing the Reaper. It doesn't really give you better sight lines on potentially healing the Reaper. So you wanted to be here where you had the option to open the angle and heal your tanks. This is too conservative, which is usually not the issue I run into with Annas. And now I think you're letting yourself shoot at the D.Va because she's in front, maybe, but she's like super healthy. Even though her positioning is the teeniest little bit more aggressive than your Orissa's, you put one shot into the wall, then I think you missed another shot on the Orissa, and the rest of these have been into D.Va. And now you're trying to get that Orissa and you can't. And now it's going to be tough. But like, scope in, be ready to hit your Orissa immediately, or don't scope in, but be ready to hit your Orissa immediately. The reason I want you to scope is because it gets rid of the travel time, and it takes time to scope, but you can hide that scoping time while your Orissa was out of line of sight. Now that your Orissa is in line of sight, you can get the heal on them a little bit faster. That said, you're down to 1 shot. Yeah. Okay.
I will keep you here.
Again, you're pretty far away back here, and I'm just not seeing enough reason for you to be this far away. Because when your team pushes in, which is something that you expect to happen at some point, you're gonna have to go, okay, let me hoof it. Let me hoof it. So tired, such a long run. Jog over here. Okay, now I can heal you guys. You see how you expect your team to rotate forward here at some point, and you're back here. It's going to be such a long rotation to heal them. So, like, just go, hey, I have the angle closed almost as well if I'm here. I'm more vulnerable to their Reinhardt coming around the corner chasing me down. But, I've still got my tank between me and them. This works. You can be here. You can even get cute and try to play, with this trash can, etc. Like, you have options that are closer than this. This is going to make you late to the party too often.
going to be okay.
You just need to throw that nade to the left of him and this sleep dart. I mean, they don't have anyone that'll push you personally, but I don't love it. Okay, hey, we hit the sleep. Immediately woken up, and 9 out of 10 times that was going to happen right there, but we'll take it. Reaper. Are you going to nano that diva? Because you pretty much have to nano that diva right now.
You're powered up. Get in there.
That is not a diva. I don't know. Okay, you have the lamp up. Your Orissa's full health. You're down to 1 shot. You put the shot into the Orissa. Interesting, but it's okay. You can even get really technically cool about it and reload cancel if you wanted, and like wait just another instant for the ammo to be in the clip, but then cancel the back half of the animation, you know, doing, hey, let's use an ability, in this case nano. But you absolutely chose to nano. This wasn't some like, oh, your crosshair was here and the game decided to put you on this one. This was your crosshair was here. You absolutely picked Orissa as your nano target, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why. Diva's in a better position for nano. Diva's missing the health for the nano. Diva's generally a better nano target. Diva probably has boosters back to go deeper, or will very early into the nano cycle get boosters if she wants to go deeper on someone. This was 100% the nano target. 100%. What is this? What is this? No. You've decided that you hate Lucio. If you play a bunch of Ana, that happens, man. Like, I was a main tank player who would flex over to support, but I gotta tell you, like, I'll play the other main supports. Like, you give me some Mercy, you give me some Brig, I'll make those work, etc. But Ana's my favorite. Just don't ask me to play Zen. But yeah, way more fun than Lucio. But Lucio's fun, and some people really get into Lucio, and I get it. I don't have an issue with Lucio, I just don't particularly enjoy him. Okay, so that's a nice, fun offensive nade. I really hope you hit this sleep immediately, otherwise this is going to hurt a lot. Yeah, so you got aggressive for that, and I actually don't mind you getting aggressive for that because you expect your team to push with the nano. But again, if you'd nanoed the diva here, your team certainly would have pushed. They would not have been pushing through a nano diva. You would not have had, your diva like fleeing for her life, etc. And then when you come up here looking for this nade, yeah, you've got to get it around the diva potentially, but way better. Whereas now when you go up for this nade, what ends up happening... You wander in front of all of your tanks. You've at least got some cover, but you wander in front of all of your tanks to hit this nade. And that's fine. You've done what you need to. Now you should close the angle left. And you need to now close this left even harder to make him come in, because there's nowhere else you can go where you have even a chance of surviving. But your diva's not in mech. Your diva should be in mech. Your diva should be in mech DMing their window right now, which would have the added side effect of DMing this visor that would come in. So your diva lost your mech, and that's on you. Also, armored diva takes like no damage from... Armored nano diva would take like no damage from soldier, and you could keep her between you and the visor. But hey, that's only if you want to, win games. Well, blah, that's one way to think about that. The other way to think about that is he's trying to do his job, and he's trying to hover near you so that he can peel that tracer that's about to show up. And by doing that, he happens to sometimes watch into your sightline. But yes, Lucios do yoink nanos. More often than they yoink Zarya bubbles.
I have your back.
And Zarya bubbles get used a lot more often than nanos. Good nade. I'm not sure how you missed that sleep at this range, but that's okay. If you miss, you miss. We'll deal with it.
Get back.
Leave, leave. Right idea. Fine.
This is going to hurt.
Close the angle. Yeah. Not this way, not this way. Your team is deciding to push hard off of this. Interesting. I can see that, Indy.
Walk it off.
I'm gonna hope that you weren't trying to nade him, but I am concerned that you might have been. So here we are.
Get in there, Bob.
Sigma present.
Walk it off.
What were you trying to do with this nade? Okay.
Walk it off.
I think you were. It's possible that you were trying to like get this nade in here to hurt the Junkrat. Yeah, that's probably what you were going for. It's close. It's also possible that you knew that, hey, he just took damage. I'm afraid that he's going to get hit by another bouncing nade or something, so I want this on him. And I can live with that. Okay.
Regen up.
I don't like that use of a nade, but it's not terrible. And besides, I think you were trying to throw at the Junkrat, which is, you know, hey, you want the elimination. Okay.
Lights out.
Good. We hit a sleep. I think that's the second one we've hit, but we've struggled with some easy ones, so I was a little concerned. Good. But that's a long time to not pay attention to your team. So if you look at this, here you are.
Lights out.
You're not paying any attention to your team. You're just worried about the Zarya. Here it is. This is fine. You go for the shot, and you decide that, nope, I need to deal with the Zarya. They're critical, but they're out of line of sight with you, so you go take the shot on the Zarya. Totally fine with me. Are they in line of sight of you now? Because you've got a fair amount of delay, almost a second between shots. Okay, so you check. Good. But you don't have the angle. Now you go here, and you decide that Sigma needs your help. Honestly, I'm not convinced Sigma needs your help. If you turn right, you might see someone's in more danger. They're not, but you don't know that. So here we are.
Watching your back.
Now your Sigma's in even less danger, and, you know, that's, what, 2 shots and a nade in a row before you check on your team? And then you hit a reload while he's fighting. Okay, but hey, BAP has it under control. Maybe you were calculating around that. How are they doing? Okay, BAP's got him.
60 seconds remaining.
Okay. Junkrat, I assume. From over here? Okay. No sleep? No turn to sleep here. Like, you know that Junkrat just cleared you from here, and you wander back here, and you then back into this? You back into this potential lane when Junkrat just took this from you without checking over here? That is not valuing your own life very highly, is what I'll say.
This can happen. You're going to be okay.
Clearing the area.
I'm fighting.
Fire.
Go get the mini, please. Please go get the mini.
30 seconds remaining.
Please?
Objective A captured.
It's cute, but no.
Take your medicine.
Good job, team. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, it's kinda Kind of fortunate. There's games where sleep has healed the
Just
target.
distract. It'll be fine.
Fortunate that's not the case in this one.
Let's Spider-Man.
أنا هاخد بالي منك.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Why did that seem like a good idea to you? Like, your Reaper was down and you kept walking forward, which means you know something is in there, and you know that it went down in a place where there's a Mega, so that thing could be full health. Like, no. The only thing you could excuse is maybe you peek to see if you can get an insta win with a sleep dart. But even that, not a huge fan. What are you doing? Do you know if we've cleared out whoever was in here before? It was Soldier, by the way. Do you know if we've cleared them out? If not, why are you wandering into the middle here? You had the right idea up against this wall. Why were you... What?
Watching your back.
No nade? Why are we not weaving a nade? Fine. You have a nade. Soon as that bubble's over, you're going to weave a nade. So we're going to look at this. Okay. You get your heal. Now you can sort of afford to be in this position. Here. Why do we not have a nade going right in here? Just throw this nade right, over Bob's left shoulder and be like, shh, and get multiple people with it. It'll be great. They'll turn purple. They'll be unhappy. Yeah. I mean, you might not win the fight, but clearly you're in this fight because you have a Bob here. You have someone taking some sort of aggressive angle here. Like, you're in this fight in some way. Who is that? Baby Diva, Reaper. Ash, yeah, it's not amazing, but you're in this fight. You have a surround. You have your surround with funny people, but a nade here absolutely matters. And you know that at least one of the bubbles is gone, so the purple can't be cured if you hit it. Throw the nade. Too late and too far to the right. You didn't want to hit Bob with the nade. If Bob got hit with the nade, that's like, okay, that's acceptable, but you wanted to throw it over Bob's left shoulder to hit the opponents here. Yeah, in bronze, most people are going to have an easier time climbing with Moira Game Buster, but Anna's way more fun. Like, she is. But quite a bit harder. Like, the skill floor to be effective with Anna is quite a bit higher. You have to be a little better at the video game to get Anna's sort of base level of value than you do with Moira. I don't love those terms, skill floor, ceiling, etc. They get used wrong. People have to define them every time. But the level that you need to play at to unlock Anna's kit, even to just sort of the like minimum acceptable level for her hero to work is higher than that of Moira. So, Moira's got the easier entry, etc., but Anna's simply more fun because her kit's more interactive, she can do more things.
Poser. Thank you. You're covered. Thanks.
Okay. I mean, Anna's ult wins fights too. If the Reinhardt is already in there swinging, they're gonna keep swinging. Like, you just have to time it right. Or he could have nanoed the diva at the right time in this one, and that would have been quite a big swing to the fight. It might not have won it, but it would have been quite a big swing to the fight.
Get back.
60 seconds
And
remaining.
it's not like Coalescence is a free fight win either, though I guess in Bronze it is because people are like 3 seconds away from cover. I guess that's true. In Bronze, it becomes a case of since people are so far from cover, you can regularly, like much more regularly, pick up eliminations with Coalescence than Nano. I can see that. That's fair. I'm thinking of a higher level version of the game. This is not good. Oh, okay, you tried. You tried. Fine, we'll live.
I stick up.
That could be Indy.
لسه في ناس لازم
Assemble
نحميها.
at this location.
Okay, let's hope we get some good nano value here. Let's hope we hit a nade that doesn't splash
30
on Bob's
seconds
shoulder.
remaining.
My ultimate is ready.
Easy mode.
Yeah, I'm seeing your point of view, Blah. I'm agreeing with your point of view, even. Okay. So, are you rounding this corner? Like, he's going to be drawing the fire to him, so it is actually safe for you to round this corner right now. They won't be spamming the low ground. They'll be spamming at your Sigma if he's there. Okay, so it's the window. You don't want to round it. Don't stand here. Do not stand here. They have a window up. Your tanks will handle this. You don't need to do this. Now that you are here, please transition over to here. But you did not need to be here at all. Like, you did not need to walk in front of this window. Your tanks will handle touching. You had the angle to heal 2 people. Even if Sigma went forward and touched, you still had the angle to heal 2 people instead of 3. And once they're up there, you can think about maybe I'll transition over to here so I can do more, etc. No. This is not Ana positioning. This is still not Ana positioning. Swing around this side of card.
ده هيفيدك.
Maybe you thought Reinhardt was coming around this way. You could tell he wasn't, but maybe you thought it.
I have your back.
Are you going to boost the diva? You make me sad. You make me sad. Now are you going to boost the diva?
You're powered up. Get in there.
It's kind of late. Like, Diva already did what she needed to. Like, I'd rather you boost her than lose the mech, but, like, I'm not even convinced she'd have lost the mech. At this point, yeah, I'm more worried about this guy now. Whatever. Like, yes, it's important to make sure you get this point. Yes, I'd rather you boost the diva than not boost the diva, just barely at this point, I'm going to say. But it is a just barely thing. You were very, very likely to have this without the boost at this point, whereas when I wanted you to boost literally as she was boosting in, and even a second after she'd boosted, the fight was still more up in the air, and it was more likely to be the difference maker. Now, it turns out she got the eliminations I wanted her to get without the boost, but you didn't know that she was going to be on for a moment. And by on, I mean her aim was going to be a bit better, or the opponents were going to make more mistakes. You know, you didn't know that she was going to put in more work than normal for her right there. And Nano certainly would have made it instead of 50-50, 80-20 that she was going to. So, it's disappointing. Like, you were late on your Nano. That's a sleep dart into a bubble. That was clearly a bubble. You knew that was a bubble. It was a bubble when you pulled out your sleep dart. It was a bubble when you pressed the button.
My ultimate is ready. The payload has reached.
Helden sterben nicht.
Are you rotating for high ground? Oh my goodness. I have GM players that don't do this. What is this? Why is your positioning so good and so bad at the same time? Poor Bap. Poor Bap. Miss to the right. Miss to the left. Miss to the left. Okay.
Watching your back.
Okay.
Is it hot in here or is it just me?
You don't need to go up quite this far yet. I appreciate that your tank's in front of you, but you don't need to be here quite yet.
60 seconds remaining.
So, conceptually, I like the idea of, hey, we're going for an offensive nade, et cetera, it wasn't deep enough. They were retreating. I get it. It's hard because you're throwing onto a hill. But this was always going to be struggle to get some follow-up. Like, you do have your BAP here and you have your Ashe here, so I'm going to be okay with it, and you do have a more poke-heavy team, but usually you're looking for the enemy team to be a little bit more in it, a little bit more committed, rather than nade a retreating team that's still pretty healthy, because this team was pretty healthy. You're generally looking for them to be a little more, hey, we're interested in fighting. I'm worried that you're nading and, the fight isn't going to happen. They can go, hey, well, even if you hit them with the nade, they're going to go, we're just going to wear this nade out, and then we'll push after purple's worn off, and you don't have nade. You want your nade when there's a little bit more probability than there was here of the elimination, but I'm going to accept it because, hey, this is a case of you have a BAP up here, you have an Ashe here, you have a ranged tank, like, you could potentially pick it up. They're way out of Sigma's range, but okay. Take the lane, take the lane.
I will keep you healed.
Its destination.
And you're gonna nade?
Healing in hand.
You're hitting Alice with nades that you mean to go deeper. That's a couple times that's happened now, so you just need to understand that your nade's radius, not the explosion, but the radius for the nade popping on things is a little bit bigger than you think, and you need to aim around your allies a little more widely, we'll say. Like, I don't think you meant to get Bob's shoulder. I think you meant to get it over earlier, and I'm sure you meant to get this past Ashe on the right, but the nade's hitbox is a little more generous with allies than you realize, so you're going to have to work that into your system and make adjustments for it. So that's likely to be on your list. I don't know about that sleep. That was too early to get. I think you were going for the res, and that was too early to get value on the res. Maybe you were trying to stop the actual res itself.
Healing in hand.
Yeah, that's too early for the res. The res has invulnerability for a moment, so you got to be more aware of that. Or did you get? Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Nice.
0 to 3.
When is the bubble not a bubble? But is it still a bubble if a sleep dart hits it?
Initiating match.
I don't know that that's totally true. Maybe Ashe jumped right into it, but let me take a look.
Round
Like,
1. Complete.
maybe I'm being
Round
too
1.
critical. I'm never being too critical. I'm almost always not being critical enough. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But I want to go back and see this, because if Indy thinks Ashe hard moved into it in an unpredictable way,
60 seconds remaining.
I will keep you healed.
Get in there, Bob.
The payload is approaching its destination.
yeah, I see Ashe is jumping, but we haven't pressed the button yet. Like, we haven't pressed the nade button yet. It changes colors when we press the nade button, and Ashe is already doing her jump to the right, so we can calculate for that. Like, yes, of course Ashe is moving. I don't expect my allies to stand still. That's what happens. Allies move. And we saw the jump path, and she does not have much control over her jump path at this point. Yeah.
Healing in hand.
So yes, Ashe did jump right, but Ashe was jumped in the air, and we could fully see she was going right before we pressed the button. You see, as soon as we press the button, it turns this, as soon as the animation starts. Okay. There we go. So we've got some things. We've had some funky positioning. At the very beginning, we were hanging way, way too conservatively deep on our angles, where we couldn't transition up to heal our tanks very well when they predictably wanted to push. And at other times, we were just standing like in the fight almost when we didn't have to, etc. So we have some positional stuff to do. And we also have some work with our nades to do, where our nades are blowing up on our friends. And then we have some nano usage. Yikes. We'll narrow in, or maybe we'll find something else more important, but those are things that are jumping out at me right now.
Fight you for what you be. Aglan?
How y'all doing?
How do you not throw nade into teammates when you want to hit enemies for purple? Well, you know that your nade explodes if it hits teammates, and you know it explodes if it gets kind of close to teammates, like it did on Ashe there. So you just have to adjust for your teammates. You play with the fact that the nade has an arc, so you can kind of throw it over them because your teammates are likely at a different distance than the opponent, so you can get it over them a little bit, but you also look for places where you can weave it, etc. Sometimes the nade that you want isn't there because, yeah, teammates are in the way, and that's life. But you can position to minimize that. The real thing you do to consistently get nades without your teammates going in the way is you go, hey, I have my Rhine, my Sigma, whatever, fighting around this space, etc., and I'm healing them, I'm doing my work, etc. Let me transition up here, throw a quick nade, and go back. The real way you get nades around teammates is you take angles, like, like I just sample did through hotel here. Or if we were pushing, it could be a, hey, my team's pushing, let me pop up here, I can throw a nade over at whatever I want. I can peek out here, throw a nade, etc. Like, the real answer is angles. You use angles, not closeness, to get nades on people, but you are sometimes still going to get nades on enemies from behind your teammates, and you do that by adjusting for them, by using the fact that your nade has an arc. Isn't this position pretty bad in the open, or is it fine? Yeah, sometimes they do walk in front of them, Silver Dawn. So I don't think that Anna's going to stay here. I think Anna's going to stand here. Okay, Anna's going to stand somewhere else. We can talk about Anna positioning. I want to see where our Anna sets up before we do so. Okay.
5,
Hoi.
4,
Sometimes you'll see Anna's here. Sometimes you'll see Anna's here. Sometimes you'll see Anna's here for cheeky little nades like we talked about. Sometimes you'll see them here and then rotate back to like here. These are all things that you'll see. They all have different vulnerabilities. This is kind of vulnerable to snipers. A Widow can pretty quickly transition up to here and go pink. That's not fun. Similar thing here, plus it's on the low ground, etc. But at least you get the phone booth to use. This gives you nice aggressive nades, but distance-wise is pretty short. If they go speed boost rush, boom, 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 that's unhappy. This isn't, fantastic. Usually you'd be here, but, sometimes you'd be here if your team is doing this silly forward hold, etc. And then you'd go, hey, as they push in, I rotate back to here. But then you've got to be worried about this, which turns into a rotation back to here. But that makes it hard to follow your team if they then start winning and push in, etc. So there's costs and balances to everything, but this isn't a bad spot. Just have to be ultra aware of the hit scan.
1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
This will help.
Get in here.
You're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Barrier unstable.
Okay.
It's just a scratch.
Unfortunate. They got the eat.
Barrier's about to break.
That was an iffy offensive shot.
Get back in the fight.
My barrier is
Don't over babysit him. Pay attention to your right. Pay attention to your right.
It's just a scratch. You'll be fine.
Yeah, if you paid more attention to your right, your Junkrat would be winning this fight harder.
This will only hurt for
Nice. Your Junkrat has been operating on nothing and still... Wow. Those were some heroics from your Junkrat to hold that area down for as long as he did, with you giving him almost no help. Like, yes, you got the tire, and that matters, don't get me wrong, but, a heal or two into your Junkrat, a little bit more attention paid in this direction. Like, that's the thing about this. You can't just let them come through here. They'll run you over. They'll separate you from your team. You multiple times had your Sigma up to 85, 95, 100% health, and you kept like pumping heals into him rather than checking on what was going over here. Do I need an offensive shot to keep someone back? Do I need to throw a heal into my Junkrat, etc.? Like that was a lot of time for you to go, this is the fight, etc. And don't get me wrong, your Sigma was going to fall behind fast. He was under pressure if you didn't pay attention to him. But when you get him up to that 85 to 100%, you knew that stuff was happening here. You knew that stuff was happening here this whole time, and you weren't paying any attention to it. And this is proximity-wise pretty close to you. Could be pretty dangerous to you. You will lose. Like your Sigma's going to go down if they get through here, because then they're going to deny you the sight line on your Sigma, or they're going to eliminate you. So, like, yes, I know it feels scary, etc., but you have to pay a little bit of attention to what's going on over here, not just tunnel the tank.
I'm just getting started.
I'll rest when the fight
Need
is done.
healing.
What's up, Blah? What didn't you like?
Sorry.
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
Take your medicine.
Thank you.
Oh, I think it's got like auto mod on, but I haven't done anything special to strengthen it or anything. I don't think I've played with the settings at all, really. I'm surprised. Like, I mean, I can understand how that would be interpreted. I can understand how that could like. I can understand how filters could potentially want to catch that, but I'm surprised that they could. Yeah. What? What was the intent here?
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
Algorithms. It's not like simple to explain it. I'm not the expert on it either, but I'm sure it's in part based on a list, in part based on. So you did want to. Why did you want this? Why would you want this nade? I could understand wanting a nade on Soldier, but this nade is clearly on your diva. I don't think this is a case of her hitbox. No, it's not. Like that's right in the bottom of her mech. Like that's why. You're sure you didn't want this over here where it might splash onto your diva and might splash onto the Soldier? You're sure? We want this here? That's really not such a great nade. Your diva is full health. I mean, she's taking a little damage now, and she's going to take more from the TNT, but you didn't need this. You can keep her up with shots.
Get here. Take your medicine.
Yeah, that was no with that sleep dart. You're fine on this angle. You have people you can hit. Like Ash.
I've seen what you're going to live.
Barrier won't hold together.
Okay, are we going to get nano value?
The pain is coming.
Okay. Interesting. Silver game, temporal. Take it easy. I'm disappointed that self-destruct got anything.
I will keep you here.
Okay.
You're powered up. Get in there.
This is what you wanted?
I will keep you healed.
This is what you want for your nano. It's not perfect, but you can nano this. That could work. She has her mech whenever she wants it, so you're not nanoing her. You could throw a nade in a second and see what you can do, but you could nano here, or you could just say, hey, I don't need the nano yet because I'm going to want a better nano in a second, and instead I'm going to nade and see if I can get all three of these guys in 1 second, less than a second. Like that's an option, but let's see where this goes. And let's slow this down to figure out why you're nanoing. So that's fine. Everyone's fine. Yeah, that Ash is still fine.
You're powered up. Get in
No,
there.
absolutely not. Maybe you wanted the Bob, but I don't even particularly want that. This is no. Like it's not harder. She's right next to you. She's scoped in, so she's not moving fast. If you want to heal her, you just hit her with your left click, with your heal. This is not. This isn't aggressive. Like if they don't like her nano, they're just gonna close the angle on her. You see what I'm saying? Like they're gonna close the angle and go, "We're just gonna fight Bob now, thanks. We're just gonna fight Bob and Bap now, thanks." Like you guys don't have aggressive enough angle coverage to do this. If you had someone over here, if you had a little more presence in this fight, sure. But this nano is just gonna get kited, and this isn't really when you nano Ash. Like nanoing Ash is because like a Winston jumped on her and you turn the Winston's leap into a nope, now you're feeding Winston, you save her and you turn the Winston into being into trouble type stuff. It's not this. Like you could nano her, but I would want you to have better coverage, like you having a threat from here or a threat from here. A little bit more in here than this is just going to be line inside of kiteable. I don't know that they will do that, but it's not who I would have wanted your nano on. Yeah, you see this? Like, you're now all threatening from the same direction. All threatening, there's one lane here. This becomes perfectly valid cover. This becomes perfectly valid cover. This becomes perfectly valid cover. This cart is perfectly valid cover against all of them, against all of your threats.
This will only
Okay.
hurt for a minute.
Are you going to look for your sleep? You tried.
You're making this easy for me.
Yeah, it does something important. It helps her break a threshold because remember, a mercy boosted Ash now does 195 with a headshot. So a nano boost, that's a bigger boost. That's going to be eliminations that she gets with headshots on squishy heroes. So it does something meaningful for Ash, but I just think it's too easy to kite. You didn't have enough angle coverage, etc. So it does something. It's better than some other heroes that you could nano for sure, but I'd have preferred it. In this comp, I'd generally be looking for nanos on D.Va when D.Va is in the mix messing things up.
I wasn't cut out for retirement anyways.
The name's McCree.
What is that melody?
It's fate, man.
I've seen worse. You're going to live.
Bob is pretty easily countered Blob, but that's what the thing is. I mean, when Bob becomes like a fourth angle for your team, that becomes something where it's like, hey, Bob isn't a real part of our firepower. He's just a fourth angle or a third angle, etc. And that has some value because it's a, hey, yes, you're going to deal with that, Bob, but as you're going to deal with that, Bob, you're exposed to one or two other angles and we're doing bad things to you while you're hooking that Bob, while you're pinning that Bob, etc. So no, he's not great. I don't like spending nanos into him.
Activating the barrier. Barrier is out. My barrier is destroyed.
The payload has
You're
reached
going to
the
be
checkpoint.
okay. Heal up.
Barrier unstable. Out of existence.
I forgive the first shot into his shift. The second shot, no reason for that.
Watching your back.
Kind of a long time to be looking up there. Why are you still here? Detonate accuracy. Turn.
Get back in the fight.
Turn. This D.Va is totally out of the fight. Turn. Okay. Are you going to look for an aid here? That was really late. I expected your nade to probably be over here. He might have shifted it. That wouldn't be great. This nade was really late for a hero that is obviously going to be sprinting this part. Like, there's no question that this hero is going to be sprinting this part because, of course, he wants to get here. And he's going to be much easier to nade when he's here. Like, if you didn't get this nade as he was going in here, but instead you tried it here, which was never going to catch him, like, you're going to have an easy nade here, and you're definitely going to need to help check him when he gets here because this is dangerous and scary. So, good luck. Hope you hit your sleep.
Barrier is unstable.
I mean, you're probably gonna have to nano this. This isn't a good nano, but you're probably gonna have to.
I've got you in my
No.
sights.
Fine. Good. Fine. Probably don't need to be in scopes right now. Like, if we're just looking at this for a moment. Totally fine. You go for the Junkrat finish, I'll live with it. I'd like you to get the shot into your junk to keep him up, but your BAP is thinking about handling it. Fine. You don't really need to be in scope anymore. Like, you know that there's a close threat to you in this Zarya, so you being in scope is a little bit scary. You're missing out on this Mercy resing by being in scope that you could potentially answer with a sleep dart. No, you couldn't, but... Yeah, like, there were threats pretty close to you for you to be scoped right there, and you knew that because you turned away from the bubbled Zarya, so you knew there were close threats to you.
I'm not ready to hang it up.
Round 2. Complete.
Get healed.
Score 3-3. Switching sides.
It's true, Blah. We haven't had a no yet.
Initiate.
Look after yourself.
Ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Activating the barrier.
Defend objective A.
Follow my
Barrier is about to break. My barrier is destroyed.
Okay. Where are you playing? You're just kind of standing in the middle of the space here. Mm-hmm.
This will help.
Let's get technical. Okay. You can hide. You know that you want to heal this soldier, and you can heal him faster by already being scoped when you break this corner, right? Like, you have travel time on your hip fire, or you have time to scope on someone. So it seems like, oh, well, okay, either way I have a delay, etc. But you can jump. You can jump around to this corner and go into your zoom as you're jumping and hide your zoom while still traveling, etc., and still have normal movement speed because you have your jump momentum, etc., and then be able to heal this soldier a little faster. Because you know you're going out from this corner. Like, you have full health, you are going out from this corner to heal this soldier. So this should have been a jump, and you do go for your scope here, but you're too slow when you go for your scope, and you don't jump to it, you just walk out to do it. That's how we shave off fractions of moments to try to get, the faster heal off, etc.
This will help.
I'm not sure what that nade was for.
Get back in the fight.
Your brain had probably already processed that your move was going to be, I'm going to shoot the soldier once and then I'm going to nade. But, like, it was, by the time you naded, he was long gone.
30 seconds remaining.
Pivot for your diva. Oh boy, why? That's a lot of offensive shots for, not getting your diva.
I'm taking the objective. Get over here.
10 seconds remaining.
A positive outcome.
seconds remaining.
This may yield a positive outcome. We must hurry.
Okay, so that's 5 missed shots or 4 missed shots and then a nade in a row there. And I'm not gonna be like, oh, bad aim, blah 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 blah. But this tells me something that you're feeling the pressure. You're feeling the pressure of the short time, etc. And I get it, I understand that, but there's things you can do about that. Like you can't pause for like 3 seconds to regather yourself, but even pausing for like mentally just pausing for a third of a second is sort of like, okay, it's okay, settle down. And I can't really impart that on you, but that is something that you can pick up where it's like, it's okay to just stop thinking and mentally settle down and like mentally be like, okay, settle for a third of a second to try to get back into it, especially after a missed shot or two, because you shouldn't miss 5 shots in a row. Most of those weren't particularly hard shots. And again, I don't care that your aim is bad, but that's not a case of your aim being bad. That's a case of you getting stressed, I expect, and that making it worse. So just, mentally take an instant. And, that feels like, oh, but it's too long. It's too long. No, an instant can be like a third of a second. Just mentally give yourself permission to calm down, go up, blank, mental, etc. And now you relax back into your shots, etc. You can do the same thing if you miss a shot on like a Genji that's standing next to you looking at you wanting heals and you miss 3 shots in them in a row. You just mentally pause for a moment, even if it delays your next shot, and then go ahead and hit your shots, etc. That's what you want to do. And even if it's short time, that's what you want to do, because that's better. You're going to get better at falling into that mental state faster. You'll get better at correcting faster, and you'll get to a point where you just rarely even enter this stressed mode where you start missing a lot of shots, etc. Okay. Anna needs to be more zen. This time.
My barrier is destroyed.
Overtime.
I've got you in my sights.
I'm not ready for
And now we're going with some Moira. Okay.
I foresee great things for you.
You are advised to move behind my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A. Enemies bound. Preparing to defeat.
This isn't really a good hold spot. Like in modern Brawl with Mei walls and everything, you'll see this as a hold spot. This isn't really the standard ladder hold spot though, because on ladder comps are more messy, so you don't really try to hold this choke. You end up using more and forcing this corner, etc. This is no. I mean, there's too much risk from the Widow stuff. It's too easy for them to get past you with mobile heroes and then rip you apart. Like, this is better. And especially if you have the Bastion, this was better. But hey, we'll deal. We don't control our tanks.
You all look like you needed some healing.
We've used half our resources and only have 26% ult. We're off track. You're gonna have to fade.
Get in here.
Easy,
This will
easy. They're
improve your
fine. They're
condition.
fine. You don't have a ton. You do not need this heal.
Thank you.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Yours is full health behind a barrier. You're trying to heal. I get it, but that person's fine. There's a Sigma in their face. Sigma isn't that scary.
such a flawed creation.
How do you think this is gonna go? You just faded into danger. And Judiva's definitely not going to be able to hold this, and if she tries, she's going to lose her mech for it. Like, she's probably going to boost her out, and then you're going to be stuck. Oh my goodness. Why are you alive? I am so not okay with that.
This will heal you. Sterben nicht. Become Karula.
Okay.
I need to
You're affording. You can afford to be a little heavier on the left click here because you know you're at your ult. Thing is, you're not actually at your ult. They do not have a diva, so you can just throw out a damage orb to get your ult, though. Okay.
Help me.
Don't you dare go down.
Surrender to my will.
What? Who was your target for pulling out this coalescence?
Help me.
Okay. So the soldier is at half health, and even with sprint, probably 2 seconds from the cover. Nope, by the time you can press it, he's closer to cover. Okay, so he's probably not a viable target. It would be close,
To my will.
but you don't even think about him. You go over here. Is Junkrat your target? I think Junkrat's out of range. No, Bastion is not your target. Your target is not to... You're not using Coalescence to enable tank mode. Like, I don't mind if you use it to try to get an elimination and then you swap it over to because you didn't get that elimination or because you did with what's left you enable your Bastion, but I want you getting more value than this with your Coalescence. You can enable like Rhines and Zaryas that are trading with other Rhines and Zaryas. That's a valid use of it to get their ults, etc. But enabling someone that already has their ult that can probably do the work, like this isn't really the play. You're more looking to try to get an elimination on someone who's a couple seconds from cover, but you didn't even know if that applied to anyone because you pressed Q before you even looked where anyone was. And you didn't have like your Orisa in, let me rephrase that. You didn't have their Zarya in your Orisa's face where you could like melt their Zarya and your Orisa would be getting value or vice versa. You're just kind of like, I'm going to enable my Bastion because he's tanking. And he doesn't need it. Like he might, but again, use what's left of it. Or use it when there's a Reinhardt swinging into him, use it on the Reinhardt and your Bastion will happen to get the benefit. This is just stacking the ults for no reason. Okay. I mean, you're kind of getting saved a bit here. Nice of that soldier to re-peek you. Heal orb immediately? Heal orb immediately?
I will rebuild you. This will restore you.
You have to get behind telephone booth. You have to. This isn't an option.
Hot in here, or is it just me?
Mm-hmm.
The power of destruction.
You're at less than half resource, and you're sending out an offensive orb at a soldier that's going to take that as encouragement to flank harder against you? Your team has plenty of offense right now. Like, your resource is too low. That should have been a heal orb.
I'm overloading.
Yeah, you have like nothing left to play with resource-wise now. This needs to be heal orb.
Not yet.
You need to preserve the resource. Like,
You seem in invade.
you need to be going, hey, let me bounce this heal orb around between the phone booth and this to get the three of us because you were missing some health. Your Orisa was missing a lot of health. Your Bastion's likely to take damage. Like, this is no.
I cast this.
No.
Огонь по готовности.
Okay,
That
that's
changes
over.
my thinking.
We know how that goes. Let's get some Ana because Ana is what we were
I'm
playing.
not ready to round.
Let's get some Ana because Ana is what we were playing.
30 seconds.
Okay, so we had some interesting offensive orb usage there. We had that fade that hurt my eyes to watch in front of statue there. But probably the easiest thing was the coalescence. You just need to know what you're doing with your coalescence. Coalescence to enable your bastion, not the play. Coalescence to enable tanks that are up there aggressively trading, perhaps, especially if it's going to help them get their ult. Coalescence to get eliminations on squishies that are a couple seconds away from cover. Yeah, those are very good. But if you're going to get those, you have to start on those. You can't go, hey, I'm enabling Bastion and then I'll swap over to get the elimination. I know that's exactly what you did and it works, but you do not expect those to work. That's not how you want to initially be using it. You initially want to be using it to try to snipe eliminations on squishies that are too far from cover, or to enable aggressive tanks, Ryan, Zarya's, etc., maybe Diva that's already in there that can use the coalescence to get their ult, and you're because they're trying to swing into something, shoot into something at close range, you're going to happen to chip away at that thing that they're working on too. Those are the two types of coalescences you're looking for. But let's move on to Ana, because that's who you mostly played. So because we are talking ults, we'll continue to talk ults. You got a nano. You got a nano. You were holding your nanos a little bit too long, and even though you didn't have great nano targets on your team for most of this game, there was plenty of times when your nano diva was going to be perfectly viable. Your nano diva was in there. She was missing a little bit of health, but she was already in there, in range, etc. Hit the nano diva. It's fine. It'll work well enough. It does what it needs to. It lets her go, hey, I have 50% decreased damage taken. I have increased damage done. She's going to have her boosters during it. She's going to be able to do some work with that. If you nano divas when they're already in, you're going to get value. And even if it's like, oh, but my diva's not going to get great value, she's not going to get a ton herself. Well, you know what? At least you don't have to babysit her during the nano, so you can take some more offensive shots. You can think of your ult if you have to as a, well, my diva's in here taking a ton of attention, etc. Doesn't need much of my attention, so I'll go take some shots at their soldier, etc., who's paying attention to the scary blue and pink mech in their back line, in their front line, etc. So I want your nanos to be more frequent. You're holding on to them a little too long, but I also want them to be used better. Like use them on Diva when she's in, Reinhardt when she's in. You could use them on potentially Orisa when Azari has already pushed through her shield and is burning her, etc. Because I know you didn't have great nano targets, but you can still get nano value. And that's not to say I'm not ever okay with nanoing a DPS. Nanoing DPS can be fine. Your nano on the Junkrat that you had to do on third was actually fine. Like, it's fine to go, hey, my Junkrat is already in. Your Junkrat is already in, absolutely nano him. And I wouldn't have had an issue with the Ashe nano, except that your Ashe wasn't in enough. And in for Ashe doesn't mean in the middle of their team. It means she's on an aggressive angle that they can't easily close, which was not the case that time. Okay, so let's fix the nanos. The other thing is you are going to have to understand your positioning better. Like we had this at the beginning, which was just really weird, and we had a couple return instances of things like that. But most of the time, you're playing very close to your front line, very like in your front line, etc. As Ana. That was occurring more often than your too far away stuff, and we need to find a more happy medium, a more of like a I'm playing here, a more of like a oh my team is up there, I'm playing here type thing. Not a my team is right here and I'm playing here type thing, but more of a my team is here and maybe I'm playing here type thing where I have cover available, etc. Or my team is up here and maybe I'm playing here, maybe I'm playing here, but I'm not playing here if my team is here. So you've got some work to do on that. And then lastly, it's the nade work. And we talked about the nade work. You're struggling with your nades a bit, so we want to get our purples with those. Purples are really, really good. I don't mind healing the team, but purples are really, really good. And I can see a decent number of the purples that you were going for, they're tripping on allies. So just be more aware of what the explosion radius of your purples are. Yes, your biggest issue is probably sleep dart related. I'm not going to lie, but we're not touching that yet because your sleep darts are going to take a lot more work to get there, and this is all much easier lower hanging fruit. So work on one thing at a time. Pick one of these, nanos for example, and go, I'm working on my nanos. For the next 15 games, I'm specifically going to make sure that 10% of my brain power is on getting better nanos, on making sure I'm not holding nano too long, and making sure that I'm hitting nanos on people that are in fights that are in the fight. And again, for a brawler that could mean they're actually physically close in the fight. For DPS that could mean they have an aggressive angle, etc. So you're going to do that for like 15 games and then see if it's sort of stuck. And when you move on to your next thing, which could be adjusting your positioning, see if your nanos get worse. If they do, go back to focusing on your nanos and forget about positioning. If they don't, great. You can go start working on positioning. Okay, if people have questions, throw them up in chat now. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like, subscribe, even consider sharing. That really does help me out quite a bit. Or if you're looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, events we have coming up. We've been talking in the Discord about what to do next, etc. So make your voice heard. Okay. And let's see, question-wise, do we have anything? Uh-oh. That bear here won't be healing? Yeah. Uh, Holy hand grenade peak. It depends on what you're playing against, Sonic. So what you run into is it depends what you're playing into and playing against. If you are too passive, you can end up in situations where your team is rotated to statue and you're still back here, and you don't want that. You want to be with them so that you can rotate with the Rhine Shielder behind the Fortified Orisa, behind the Shifting Sigma, etc., up to here, etc. But it's going to depend on the comp. You care less if they have rotated up here if they're playing into Brawl, because you can still do what you need to against Brawl, etc. And when they take more space, you'll have a window to rotate, etc. But against like a dive comp, you absolutely need to make sure you rotate with them, because otherwise you're going to find that suddenly a Genji pops up and is dealing with you, etc. Or if you're playing against a more heavy poke comp, yeah, you want to be tight with them on the rotation, etc. So you need to sort of preemptively predict where your team is going to rotate, and you do need to be able to go, hey, I want to stay tight with them for rotations in a lot of cases. Again, against some comps, it's less important. I want to stay tight with them for rotations, and I want to stay tight because I don't want to be way back here when they rotate, and then I can't heal them if they go from here all the way in, or they immediately go all the way in like this, and you're like, oh shoot, I'm late. So you want to be in places where you can keep up, but you should get a feel for where the fight is going to be 2 seconds from now. You should sort of constantly be evaluating where is the fight going to be 2 seconds from now. Am I going to easily be able to stay in that fight 2 seconds from now, etc. Like right now, you can afford to have pretty conservative positioning if you're Anna, because there's opponents here and here. Your team is not going to be able to rotate into, through this, etc. Your team isn't really going to like hard push this. They have too good of a concave, etc. So you can be pretty stable with your positioning. But if you've like see that these guys start to retreat, you need to start to move up, get closer, etc. so that you're ready to rotate when your team rotates. Yeah, that's going to do it. Okay. Do I see any other questions? Doesn't look like I do. I think we're going to call it there. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.